welcome to the Gone Traveling podcast. We are on the road to greatness. The BKT EuroCup, the road to greatness is over. Hapoel Shlomo Tel Aviv are the champions of the 2024-25 season as they swept Dreamland Gran Canaria. And with me to talk about the finals, as always, Sergio Llebres over in Valencia. Sergio, how you doing?
I'm good, David. I'm good. Hope everyone's fine. Crazy finals, crazy playoffs, and crazy champion too. Everything we could have imagined didn't happen really. So that's like the pleasure basketball gives us every season, and in mostly in European basketball. There are a lot of options, and we had four, and we chose the other three instead of Hapoel, maybe. So this is crazy how they grew, how they evolved as a team, and everything. For me, in my opinion, thanks to Itudis, and congratulations for the team, their first European trophy, the EuroLeague access. So we're going to see a very exciting summer for them in the market, and they are already working on it. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, we'll get to what they might look like. This team might look like next year.
Hmm.
The names that are being thrown out there. You brought it up, and actually, I think that's a kind of a good place to start. Is the transformation of this team. You know, we brought in Blakeney in late October, 15th, November 15th. They signed Itudis. You know, Dedas had obviously worked with him at a couple of spots already, so he kind of knew the coach there. And it was right before the window. And I know we kind of talked about November 15th that it seemed like, kind of late in the year. I think we were pretty dumb on that, you know. I think we were kind of premature on calling that late in the year. You know, if you think about,
For sure.
that's 5 months ago. Is that right? 15 November, December, yeah, 5 months ago that they brought him in, which is ages. And he had the FIBA window right away, and it was a chance for him to see what he told us to see what he had and what he needed. And then the 27th they brought in Bingham, and then the 28th they brought in Madar, and then on the 13th, February 13th, then they terminated the contract with Beverly. And that the building had been formed by then. I mean, Madar had worked with the Tudas. I think he won his Rising Star of the EuroLeague when he was with him at Fenerbahce. And yeah, and then it was just kind of fine tuning things, and everything was there. The situation with Motley had been cleared up, and we did both pick Hapoel to win the finals. We ended up both picking to in 3 games. But yeah, I did sort of think, they're not going to want to have to go back to Bulgaria. They're going to want to have to finish. They want to finish it in 2 games, and the second game was just magical. It was so much fun. First game was kind of like the other three. No, I guess the other two. Yeah, the other two. Defensive battle, and so let's go at it. The first game that was in Bulgaria, and we had a 74-65 victory uh, for Tel Aviv, obviously for Hapoel Tel Aviv. Motley, just a phenomenal game. Ended up playing 35 minutes, 18 points, PAR of 19. Blakeney, another amazing game, just totally stepped up. We were talking about him off air before we recorded. And then you had 10 points each from Foster and Madar. Madar chipping in 5 assists. And, it was it was one of these slugfests. Gran Canaria shot 19%. Turned the ball over 11 times, which doesn't sound like a lot, but the way a game in the 60s, that is a that is a lot of failed possessions. And the fans there, crazy show for them. And really, they didn't go deep at all. He kept his rotation really short, and it proved victorious. Your thoughts about game one?
Yeah, I was about. I wanted to talk about the rotation because I did the calculation of their minutes in the first game, and with 7 players, they played 188 of 200 minutes possible in a rotation. That's 94% of the time,
Yeah.
and the ability to not getting tired at all, or at least still playing with that physicality, being tired, it's the main thing for me. Their willingness to win, and they showed us that they are more united than that we could imagine. And that's for me the key of this team, and that's the flowers I give to Itudis, because he only used like at least 7 players or 8, as you want to see it. So that's incredible, because he played against two teams that um, face games in the other way, with long rotations, well, short rotations and long rosters, as Gran Canaria and Valencia, that they played with 11, 12, 10 players always. And that's incredible. You have to remember Jan Madar now is said to be recovering for 1 month and a half, as they say in Israel, in the media from Israel. That shows that he was fucked up, really physically, and he needs now to rest because of this effort. He was really injured, and I think it was his knee. So congrats to them on playing that physicality with only 7 players, really. We must say that they showed that they are 7 freaking stars. Really, they are great players with great resolution, and yeah, they didn't play like great team basketball, but they knew how administrate each quarter for everyone, and when they had to shine in every quarter. In the first game, I remember Motley's 12 points in the second quarter, I think it was, and Gran Canaria scored 13. Motley plus defense made the game in the first game, and they had that run then in the second half to get the first win. And I think there's always a space booked for everyone. You can see Blakeney in some crucial moments. Then also Marcus Foster has his moments too. He wasn't that great in the first game. Also, Madar didn't really had that responsibility to score a lot like he did in Valencia in the first game. He went for 18 points against Valencia in La Fonteta in the first game. And after the injury, another guys like Blakeney, Madar, Foster, and another guys made the scoring work easier for him, and he only had to be there and orchestrate that. And they are great 1 versus 1 players, and they had great resolution in crucial moments. And then you have the physicality of Marcus Bingham, Antonio Blakeney. Bingham really didn't even play in the first game. He played, let me see,
23 seconds.
23 seconds, and then he had his moment in the second game, and it's incredible. It's incredible how they evolved with only 7, 8 players, and how they are all together for a mission, and not caring at all who's the one that steps up. That's there's always one going to be one, and that's the key thing, because maybe in Gran Canaria you needed no Thomas on Holmesley to get a step forward, and they didn't really did it as Blakeney or Madar Also,
those two guys that were missing were Toby and Brasino, who combined for 8 points.
yeah,
Toby was a total non-factor, got into foul trouble and just did absolutely nothing. Brasino only 6 points, two three-pointers, and that was basically all they got out of him. And that you need to get more out of those two guys. Those are two of
yeah,
your
for sure.
absolute leaders, and you're not getting that. You're getting 8 points out of those two guys. You really have no chance of.
Yeah, for sure.
And so you also have to tip your hat to the defense and the schemes that they put together to slow those guys down.
Yeah, and Toby typically I think he suffers a lot against very physical centers. When he's got the game, when he's got a good game, or okay, from the I don't know from the perimeter or spacing up the court, but against physical players under the rim, he suffers a lot with the pick and roll defense and things like that. So it was difficult for him. Yeah.
And so just looking really quick, so he scored Toby. This was 4 points in the first game against them and 6 points in the second game against them during the season. So he really wasn't much of a factor against them.
Hmm.
Yeah, just fantastic team effort. Let's move to game two, and yeah, this was a fireworks. Really straight out of gate. 29 points right away for 29-21 after 10 minutes, and the offense just kept going. Blakeney scored. I want to say he scored 17. I think he scored 17 in the second quarter, third quarter, where they scored 33. Ended up being 104, 103-94. The broke the record for the most points in a single game in the finals. That had been Valencia, and it had been 95 points. And so actually, Gran
Almost Gran
Canaria
Canaria.
actually
Yeah.
almost eclipsed that mark as well. But that's just because they kept on trying to keep up, and the game was over with about 5 minutes left. 4 or 5 minutes left. It had been, and an amazing effort. You know, Blakeney ended up with 27, which was just 1 point off the single game record for most points. They ended up hitting 15 three-pointers, which was a record. Motley, 26 points, 12 of 16, 12 free throws made, tied the record for the most free throws made. 16 attempted was the record. Madar, 4 of 4 on three-pointers, record for most three-pointers without a miss. 16.6 assists. And then you had Tomar Gannett with 10 points, Cabulco 7, Foster 8. And, I want to throw it out there because, this goes to what you had mentioned the just with the first game. Yakov doesn't play a single second in the first game, and then had a massive role in that. He played just under 6 minutes,
What a
but
three
in that third
pointer.
quarter, great defense. Assisted on a dunk by, I think it was Bingham, if I'm not mistaken. And then you had the defensive play where the hustle, having the guys, the starters, the stars see that from a youngster too, saying, okay, I got to get my rest, and to see a guy like that put that in there and then hit a massive three too. Um, you know, are people going to be talking about that? No, of course not, because of what you do, with Motley and Blakeney and Madar. But you look at that, and that's coming from your bench, and just saying, okay, I got to give my guy, a break, but we can't lose on that effort, the defensive effort. So, amazing effort by the team, and ended up being 104, 103-94, just a fantastic shootout. Again, you saw that Condit had a great series. Ended up with 18, had the big game in the first game too. Sherna, Thomason, both had big games. Brusino ended up with 11. If I'm not mistaken, though, kind of some of those were in the fourth when the game was kind of decided. Toby kind of sparked up a little bit at the end to try to keep him close, but really those two guys were also not factors. Just the 3-point barrage was just way too much. They just couldn't deal with it, and also they didn't turn the ball over. Hapoel just 9 turnovers, and yeah, just congrats to Hapoel Shlomo Tel Aviv. Great effort. Your thoughts about game two?
Yeah, I was about to say that Jacob's appearance was crazy because then first the assist to Bingham and then the next uh, score for Hapoel Tel Aviv was that 3-pointer, and that was a crazy sequence from him coming into the second quarter without playing in the first mainly. So that kind of details shows you how ready all the players are, and every guy is for this kind of situations that they didn't even play in the history of the club in this scenario. So that's something that it's remarkable for me. And yeah, and talking about Condit, for me was the best center in Gran Canaria. I want to talk about the second game, but I remember in the first that Condit gave options to Gran Canaria to be in the fourth quarter against Motley, because in the first quarter against Toby, Motley was demolishing him, and once he came to defend Motley, the thing like stabilized a little bit. He balanced the game for Gran Canaria in the defensive end, and I think that was key. And thank God, Condit was healthy to help, because he's been suffering throughout all the season. Every each week he had something. So thank God he was able to play and to give Gran Canaria options. I was expecting a little bit more from them, and also from Jakalakovic in some adjustments or some kind of surprise. I don't know. I'm not a coach, but he uses that type of surprises or adjustments, or I don't know, ATOs. He won 2 games before these finals thanks to his ATOs from the timeouts, the basket from Holmesley against Basketsir, and then in that same weekend against Unicaja. That's great for them, but I missed that type of I don't know, tiebreakers or game breakers or something like that. I don't know how to say it in English. That like changes the dynamic of the game or the flow of its team, and that's a thing that also comes with individual responsibility from the scorers or the offensive anchors, but. Yeah, Hapoel was for me superior in all the areas of the game, really, and that's it. And they were the fair winners against Valencia and also against Gran Canaria, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, you also have to say that Tudis is on the other end. He's a guy who's won the EuroLeague, and
Yeah, of course, of
so
course.
so it's a guy that has seen so much. Also of being alongside Obradovic for so many
Radovic, yeah,
years. Just all the things that he's seen thrown at his teams, either as an assistant or as a head coach. Uh, you know, it's it's pretty crazy. Tuda's now fourth coach now to win both EuroLeague and EuroCup. The other guys being
Tamir Blatt,
Dusan
David Blatt.
Ivkovic, David Blatt, and Ergin Ataman are the three others. Nice company there to be in.
The best company possible.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, just totally impressed. Totally impressed with Tel Aviv on this. Is there anything else we want to talk about the game? Either of the two games?
I I only need to say that if the EuroLeague doesn't go to Dimitris Itoudis, he'll go to the EuroLeague, and that's it. He left Fenerbahce. He didn't had a job he liked. He got Hapoel, made a project in mid-season, and took them to the EuroLeague. I think this is one of the most not surprising but curious stories, in the sports way to say it, in only focusing on sport, that in recent history for EuroCup, because I don't know, we had Partizan, Virtus, Valencia, that you could like imagine their fate in the next years as they are having now, playing in the EuroLeague and being, as Valencia, also in aspirant or contender in EuroCup, something like that. Maybe Gran Canaria with that 2023 title, I don't know, but in the last years, this is one of the greatest things we've seen in the EuroCup for me, with all the
Uh,
story and background.
Without a doubt, and I mean MVP clear. I don't think there's any
No,
question
no,
about
no
them
doubt.
about Motley winning the title, winning the award as MVP. Uh, let's play with the thought a little bit now, since obviously they win their spot. They Hapoel Tel Aviv, they finished, they reached the quarterfinals of the Euro Cup, uh, the last 2 years, and obviously took the two steps further now. And we're gonna have a Tel Aviv a derby. In the EuroLeague, we don't know. We have no idea what the situation's gonna be like as far as a home for the EuroLeague games. With the political situation, unrest going on in the country, and what that's going to look like for next season. Obviously, Maccabi's playing in Belgrade. Are we going to have a Belgrade, Bulgaria derby in the EuroLeague? All these questions obviously still have to be figured out. But we do have the first hints of some pretty crazy thoughts about next year. We mentioned obviously, good chunk of those guys from the Hapoel team played in the EuroLeague last year and took the step down, let's say, to the EuroCup. But their owner Ofer Yanai has already gone on to the Italian podcast, Backdoor Podcast,
Hmm.
and has thrown out some pretty big names that he's targeting for next year. Vasily Micic, if he wants to come back, Gerson Yabusele, if he wants to come back to the NBA, Moneke from Baskonia, Kamangele from
Radar
Venice,
Venezia.
and then Mirotic. And you're gonna have to boost your team. You're going to have to. And your thoughts about,
Yeah,
and just throwing these names out there obviously goes and shows everybody straight off the bat. uh we're in it to, we're going there not just make up numbers. We're going there to make a difference, and the money is going to be there, obviously. How he gets the money, I don't know. I don't really know much about him, but that the money is going to be there. Obviously not to get everybody, you would think, not to make anybody, but your thoughts about some of those
yeah.
just massive names.
Yeah, I think this is something that the kind of coaches or personalities like Ergin Ataman are getting us used to it, to listen these kind of things, like crazy stuff even before it happens. And this gives us a lot of work to do, and yeah, doing narratives or giving information about that, or at least context, because do you know Mirotic's contract, or the intentions of Cavengeli, or the contract
John Montero was another name I didn't mention, but John
of
Montero is
course,
another
Montero's
name.
contract? Montero signed for 3 years. So are they going to pay to pay Valencia to get Montero. I don't know. And first of all, about the home court, my feeling is that they are playing in Israel because if they are zooming to Israeli teams and getting that derby like the Serbian teams and getting that type of atmosphere and things like that, they are using a lot the rivalry rounds. I think they are
Nothing
named.
has changed politically, though.
Yeah,
That's the thing,
yeah,
and
yeah,
you have to imagine something will have to have changed by the time that happens.
yeah, yeah, for sure,
I
for sure.
totally agree. I totally agree with the idea that the rivalry series, etc. But you know,
It's kind of
what's
difficult.
and yeah, we don't need to talk necessarily about that, but because we were talking about the level of players.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
and I think it's also important, and I didn't mean to interrupt, but I did want to interject just really quick because it is really important for this for this decision to be made now, or at least to have to know, important for Hapoel, but also important for the agents and everything else, for them to know who the next team is going to be in the EuroLeague, because now you just saw Kendrick Nunn sign the big deal, the big extension with Panathinaikos. Kevin Punter, who was mentioned in the
hmm,
article, he's off the market. But that's some of these clubs are going to be looking at what their team looks like next year, and now Hapoel knows they're going to be in the EuroLeague next year. What might my budget be? Which is also how much money are we
yeah.
going to have with fan? So I'm sure they kind of have an idea what their situation is going to look like, but it's important as far as like being able to figure out what they're going to be able to afford or not, and also to let everybody else, agents, etc.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure their budget for this year was went up to almost 24 million, almost 24 million of euros. I think that's the club's budget for everything, not only the players. That's the thing. That's something similar to what I know. That's Valencia. It's Valencia was 27 or 26. It's just to get us an idea of the level of money, and for sure they are going to level up in the economical way. Um I'm I saw some information in Hapoel. I don't know how's the name. Israel. I don't know. I wanted to give them the credit, but they informed that Brazilian kind of thing holding is interested in investing in the team and that they got a lot of money, basically. So that's important. I don't really know how many free agents, star free agents, are going to be this summer available in the EuroLeague, really, and if they are going to resign. But for me, the most ambitious one is Mirotic. He's in the last years of his prime. He's an experimented player. He can be the first or second sword of the offense. And I'm pretty sure, I also read that Jan Madar, Motley are staying there. I'm pretty sure that Blakeney is going to be there if they and also Hapoel Jerusalem is investing in that type of players. You could see them like bounce to another great European team, but Jared Harper resigned for 3 years, I think. That's crazy. And also, I don't know if Karen Carrington was going to resign or if he's already resigned with Hapoel Jerusalem. So uh, the Israeli teams are investing a lot in their players, and I think they are going to stabilize like not a new reality, but a comfort zone economically. I think for the players. I don't know the other context because it's very difficult, but that's the intention, at least with money.
I if For those out there who it's not what I do, but for those wondering who might be interested in or who might be possible candidates for Tel Aviv for next year, for Hapoel Tel Aviv next year, go back and look and see who played for Itudas in the EuroLeague, and maybe one or the other guy might be brought back, just like Madar.
Mhm.
He might, you know, there's a certain comfort level, maybe especially point guards, because you have a good understanding of what he knows, how he wants to run the team, etc. Which I think played a massive factor. just all of the conversations that you saw you in the huddles between Madar and coach. Just you could see that that relationship had been, had been formed over a long time, and so maybe that's somewhere where they might go. Like I said, I'm not a guy who speculates on what players might be,
Yeah.
going where. But if you do that, go and look and see who played for Atutis in the EuroLeague or whatever in the past. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes back to the well and brings in guys that he knows as well. Okay, so actually, through the miracle of suspended time, I actually did. I have here's actually a couple of the rosters. Again, zero speculation. I'm not saying any of these names are going anywhere. So Fenerbahce played for him at Fenerbahce. Scotty Wilbekin, Nigel Hayes Davis, Kaletas, Papianis, Guduric. Also, let's see who else. Carson Edwards, uh, Deshaun Pierre. Then his time at Ceska Moscow, Shangalia, Dragonis, Hackett, Clyburn.
Schengelia is a
That's
good one.
I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying, right? I mean, it makes sense for him to. Also, I think depending on how, I mean, what kind of is important to know, which I don't have, and I assume you probably don't know, is the number of Israeli domestic players he needs to have, on his roster, because that says, okay, how many. I guess you can kind of look and see what does Maccabi have, because I think that's important as
Hmm.
figuring out how deep you can go with foreign players. So I'm just calling up Maccabi right now just to see what they have. Maccabi
They
here. So
they raised the salaries for almost all of them this year.
not no not the salaries. I'm not talking about the
Yeah,
salaries. I'm
yeah,
talking about
the quantity of players. Yeah.
yeah. So looks like they have Mayer, Blatt, Menko, Sorkin, Cohen. So that's five. I don't know if maybe one of these other guys also classify as a as a as a foreigner, as a domestic player. I guess
Hmm.
we look at what does Hapoel have? What does Jerusalem have? Jerusalem have Dovrat. Is Cornelius Israeli? Levy, Hassan, Suzman. Yeah, so probably around five there too. Yeah, Cornelius is there. And then what did the champs? What did they have? Palatin, Timur, Abanovitz, Yakov, Madar,
Hmm.
Weiser, Gannett. Actually, they had a pretty good group of, six, seven guys. So, and they're gonna have to be stacked too, because 34 games,
Yeah.
right? Yearly games. They're gonna have a long rotation, or they have to have a deep team in order to do it.
Yeah.
Uh
They are great Israeli players. You said it. You said them all, and they have great list.
Well,
Uh,
that's the key, I think, in these teams.
yeah.
Why? I think that's what you see. Like, look at Bayern right now in Germany. You see, national team players all over the place with them.
Hmm.
You know, Fenerbahce. Because you have Turkish national team players. Uh, that's the key. To have the best players from your domestic players in your team. Um, it- it- Depending on the regulations
Hmm.
of foreigners. I mean, I guess in Spain it really doesn't matter, does it, with you guys? Formation players.
Yeah. There are a lot of formation players, but that's the one thing I wanted to talk about. In Spain, they are like in a lot of Spanish guys, like good level of Spanish players. And Real Madrid, Baskonia, Barça, they need to rely on the Campazos, Tavares, Moneques in Liga Endesa, in the ACB. And that's one big problem for them because they get tired a lot. You see Vesely in Barça injured, Metu injured, La Provitola injured. I don't know, Brizuela always getting injured because he needs to play a lot in the ACB. So it's a big problem for great level teams in Spain. Not, and that's a good point for like Tenerife's, Gran Canarias, because they have good level players like, I don't know, Carlos Alosen. I don't care if he's injured, but that kind of guys, Xavi Lopez Arrostegui, Pradilla, and they are like in the same level of the international players, maybe, but not in Real Madrid's, Baskonia, and Barca, and that's one big problem. And the ACB is very hard. So that's one great problem in EuroLeague terms for Spanish teams that maybe the Bayerns, Albas, or I don't know, Maccabis doesn't really have. So
Yeah, but there's also this dynamic of formation players.
yeah, yeah,
Number one,
yeah,
many of these formation players would never be considered local players
of course.
in almost every other country.
Sedekerskis
Yeah, I mean,
example.
so and that's a massive problem. For those who might not have seen, uh, I'll put the link in the show notes. I've looked at the number of Spanish players. I've looked at all the domestic players in the big leagues, and uh, Spain have a real problem. At the beginning of the year, I think it was November or so, in the top 50 players
Mhm.
in scoring and minutes, how many players were Spanish players? I don't know if you read the article.
3, 4.
Of the top 50 players in scoring in Spain, this was November, I think. There
Mhm.
was one Spanish player,
Oh my God.
and there was one Spanish player in the top 50 in minutes. One Spanish player in scoring, and one player and it was, uh, ah, let's see. Um, it was the big. I think the scoring was the big. I think I can get this.
Fran
It was the
Guerra?
big. Was that Gran Canaria?
Fran
No, no, no,
Guerra?
no, no, no.
Ah,
Tenerife. Guerra.
yeah, yeah. It's him. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Guerra, I think was the scoring one, and minutes was Santiago Justo,
Mhm.
and that's it. Top
That's it.
50. Okay, again, like I said, this was February. This was November. Maybe it's changed a little bit, but yeah, massive problem. Scariolo has also mentioned it. The Players Association president in Spain, Lopez, the legend's brother, Lopez's
Mhm.
brother, has also complained about it. Massive problem. So Sergio, we're going way from
Yeah.
the EuroLeague, from the Euro Cup. This will be the last podcast of the Euro Cup. The road to greatness, as we said, is over. Maybe your recollection, what you think you're going to remember most about this year.
Me personally, the 11-0 run from Valencia, scoring like 100 points in 8 or 9 out of that 11 game span. That was crazy for me because that was a time of transition for Valencia, and it didn't seem like a transition. They were getting buckets in a historical run for Valencia in terms of efficiency in the offense and things like that. And yeah, that was one of the key points for me in the season. Maybe also, I don't know, that Wolves streak to get into the playoffs, like with five. They started losing like 3 4 games in the beginning of the season, and they got 5 straight wins or 6 straight wins in mid season to get into the playoff level in the table. That was great also for me. Also, I will remember a lot some Cerebita Olympia plays with the highlights of Devin Robinson. I loved his season. I enjoyed a lot watching him play with all that highlights and clutch shots. And maybe for me that are one maybe the top three things for me in the regular season for me. Yeah, and in the playoffs, for sure, I have to go with Hapoel. This was crazy for me.
Yeah. Uh, I think the whole Butchasir story,
Yeah, for
uh,
sure. Also.
and that's another. I mean, obviously, we don't know Valencia. Valencia, re-upped. I think what to 27 with Coach Martinez, right? To
Yeah,
27. What's going to happen with Butchasir? They didn't get what they wanted, what they had hoped. I think they did get further than they kind of dreamt about. Reaching the. What did they do? Watching those EuroLeague guys. That's definitely going to be in there for me. The downfall of Juventud, that I didn't really necessarily see that coming. Just seeing Saraf and Essang in Ulm were so fun.
yeah.
Uh, Simpson over in Cluj, amazing run there.
That
Coach Chen's return to Turk Telecom and sort of their up and down,
mhm.
you
The debut
know.
of Fabian Gisman also.
Yeah, I Ryer,
Roger,
to
yeah,
see
same thing
what
as
a
Walton.
little bit of a glimpse of what they actually could have been if they had everybody the whole year.
Yeah,
Because then if you don't go, if you have everybody, you're not, what if they had had home court advantage? You know, what if they didn't have to, you know, I just think that could have been a really, really amazing run if they had actually had it. Um, yeah, so really so much great stuff. It was really a fun year.
also the
And
free throw line master Jared Harper with 11
yeah,
attempts per game.
Harper was amazing. Deserved MVP,
Yeah,
deserved MVP of the league. And now just to see where some of these guys are going to go or not go. We've always seen the Euro Cup sort of as a stepping stone league for
hmm
a lot of guys to go to EuroLeague teams. Now, what's going to happen? Obviously all of the unknown with NBA Europe and everything else that goes along with that, and how that might impact the EuroLeague, but also how that indirectly then will impact the Euro Cup. Though I don't know if that's going to happen next year. That I can imagine is more 26, 27. But what do these clubs then start doing?
yeah,
Also, who comes down from the EuroLeague? What the EuroLeague is going to do. Now we know. Well, I guess we still don't know who's going to be in the playoffs. We have the play-in games, but we don't know the playoff teams. The play-in
yeah.
teams,
But
but
maybe in the playing, I don't see any of the playing teams getting out of the EuroLeague. Paris is going to be there like forever because they need that French
yes,
market,
they need that
and
market.
and they are going to push Paris into
Well,
the EuroLeague. For
I
me,
guess they
my
and they
opinion.
def they definitely want to keep the Derby.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And may, I think this is the year for Alba to get back to the EuroCup because they tried to stretch this last year with some
And
kind of
Virtus too come
document.
back, no? And Virtus too.
Yeah, well, they say that I don't know who said it that they were offered a 3-year deal because of, in my opinion, because of the NBA threaten. So
Yeah,
they are getting busy offering invitations and wildcards. Also the
yeah,
two Serbians.
yeah. It's gonna. I mean, one
Diplomatic
team has to
war.
go. One team has to go because that's the Hapoel Tel Aviv spot. So I mean, Berlin is obviously the easy
Mhm.
one. Um, so we'll have to see.
And also we gotta see if there's an extension to 20 teams. Dubai. If Dubai enters with a 20 team extension, there's one space left. If Alba goes out. Basketball, I don't know. Uh, Valencia, maybe, I don't know. It's going to be critical because teams need
It's gonna be
to.
a fun next couple of months. You know, we're only
Yeah,
at
but
day
teams.
of recording April 12th, so you know we don't even know who's in the playoffs yet in the
Yeah,
EuroLeague
for
and
sure.
everything else. So
But
uh,
it's kind of funny because teams need to uh, get a roadmap, and these kind of things, you have to know them like for the next 2 seasons, not for
yeah,
September. We're in April, and this is for September, and that's really hard to like get the budget, get players, coaches too. It's kind of impossible.
well, just like we were saying, like Virtus, you know, we mentioned again. I'm
Mhm.
not saying that the Virtus players are going to go
No,
to
no.
Tel Aviv to coach Atudas, but Shengelia and Hackett, you know, those were two, you know, those two guys at Virtus, and if they're not playing EuroLeague, if Virtus aren't playing EuroLeague, you know, are they going to want to be playing in the EuroCup? I don't know. I can't imagine that they really want to, but depends on the whole situation. So, all right, Sergio, I guess that it's time to
Mhm.
bid farewell. Thank you very much. Way
No.
back in whenever it was, I went out looking to find somebody to do this podcast with. I think we didn't know each other at all, and
Yeah.
I don't even remember how I got to your name. I think somebody recommended you or whatever. So, but I thank you for coming on board and doing this with me. It's definitely been fun.
Uh,
It's been fun to chat about this great competition, and I really appreciate all of your time and your insight and your flexibility and everything, and doing this with me.
yeah, thank you. It was my pleasure, really, because I also wanted to do some project with kind of consistency, and you gave me that. That's not very common in this new reality we have with all the different works we have and jobs and hard things that life gives us. So also thank you to for the confidence, and we are 1 to 30 episodes, and yesterday it was November and the EuroCup didn't even started. I literally remember some of the first episodes and the things we talked about. So time flies, and hope to continue in some kind of way. Yeah.
We'll have to we have to renegotiate our contracts too, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe I go to a EuroLeague podcast.
Hey man, like I said, the Euro Cup is a stepping stone league, right?
Yeah.
And if you graduate to a EuroLeague podcast, I'm happy to have contributed to that. All right, everybody, thank you very much for following us the entire season. It's been a blast. The road to greatness has really been fun all year, and it has been a great season. As we talked about at the end, just some of the memories. Thank you to all the teams, all the players, and everybody else, and to you, obviously, the listeners. You know, because without you guys, there's really no show, or there's no reason for us to do this. Sergio, last time then, why don't you let everybody know how they can find you, follow you on the social medias?
Yeah, last chance for you guys. I'm Llebres 11, LLEBRES 11.
And that's on Twitter and Blue Sky.
Yeah.
And I am at Hein News, HEINNEWS on Blue Sky and on Twitter. Yeah, Gone Traveling podcast is out for the season, and totally appreciate you everybody following and listening to the Road to Greatness, the BKT EuroCup. Congratulations to Hapoel Shlomo Tel Aviv. We will see you guys in the EuroLeague next year. I guess you guys have to go listen to other EuroLeague podcasts about that other competition, right? Right, Sergio, the other competition. We know which one's
Yeah.
been more important this year for us.
They also play basketball and things like that, but that's it. Yeah.
All right, fantastic, Sergio. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it, everybody. Thank you again.
Thank you. Bye.